relationship. So since we are running a series, I'm going to be as detailed as possible, and I'll take time to address issues as much as I can, so that when we're done, these matters will be very clear in the hearts of everyone. So to that end, I have asked Bro Godwin Adagusu to provide some pieces of paper. He will pass it round. If you're interested, you pick a piece of paper. Then you can ask any question you so desire. I'm not going to answer questions in this class now, but I want you to write any question you have about relationship issues, anything you want clarification on, and they will be gathered. You don't need to write your name. Just write the question on the paper. We'll collect them in one of the baskets, and I'll look at them eventually and factor answering them into the rest of the series. Is that clear? So please, you can pass the paper around right away so that people can ask their questions, questions that they had before, and even questions that may come up in the course of the teaching today, or any question that came up from what you heard last week. So we'll address them at another time. I'm going to briefly recap what we did last week so that we can continue today. We started looking at the matter, the issue of relationship, and one of the first things we looked at last week was, why is this topic important? Why is this topic important? We said that the topic is important because there were many reasons, some of them being that this is a young church full of young people. We have a lot of young people in the house. We have some married couples, but they are not as many as the young people. So we have a lot of youths who are members of the church. And even the young people amongst us are very young. Many of the couples in the house are young. Then I also reminded us that God is set to do amazing things with us in Doxa Life. He has been speaking about it. He's been telling us, he's been showing us. And we understand that God is raising an army. And we are excited because when an army is full of young people, that army is going to be active. Okay? They are going to be strong enough to walk and to do battle. So God is gathering young people in Doxa Life because he's raising an army that will show forth establish his kingdom and show forth his glory on the earth. But then, because they are young people, the issue of relationship is a major, issue amongst young people. It troubles them, it distracts them, and, takes them away from their primary focus or primary assignment. So it's something that we really need to address so that it doesn't trouble anybody amongst us. It will not cause people to break rank. Okay? So we also said, what's that? Where did it come from? Technical. All right, please control it, whatever it is. Okay, and then we also said that the enemy is already creating havoc in this area amongst young people, even in the church. And I gave us some examples, which I'm not going to go into anymore. Then we talked about the period of youth. We said a lot of us here are in that period. We are young people. We said that this period is characterized by a lot of, strong emotions. You remember that? We said young people have strong emotions. We also said that young people have strong physical desires. And we said that there's intense attraction to the opposite sex at this, stage of our lives. You remember we said that? We also said youth is a time of self-discovery, and we also mentioned the fact that a lot of young people struggle with self-esteem issues. Okay, so these are some of the issues or some of the characteristics of the young people. And then, we talked about some of these things in detail, which I am not going to do today. If you were not here last week, the message is available. You can get it from the technical, you can get it from the Telegram page, from not on WhatsApp, on YouTube. And even on the WhatsApp, the summaries of the message was put up on the workforce page. All right, so we then said because of these things, we needed to address the issues of relationship. A lot of people don't have knowledge about it, and we need to bring this knowledge forth. We said we're going to look at why. Why do we relate? We said we're going to look at who should relate and who should you relate with. We're also going to look at when should you relate and how should you conduct such relationships. Okay? I'm going to add a few more points to why this topic is important. Why this topic is important. We looked at that last week, but I'll just mention a few things again. Now, you remember I said the devil is already causing havoc in this area amongst young people, even in the church. And what is going on, I have observed that a lot of young people are already in wrong relationships. A lot of you, even seated here looking at me, a lot of you are either currently in a wrong relationship or you are, dancing around the wrong relationship, or you're just trying to get yourself out of one, or you have had one before. Okay? When we say wrong relationship, you are probably in the wrong type of relationship, because we're going to look at the types of relationship. You are probably in the wrong type. You may also be conducting the relationship at the wrong time. Maybe this is not the timing for it. And you may be in the relationship with the wrong person. Then you could also be conducting the relationship wrongly. So when we say you are in a wrong relationship, this is what we mean. Either you are in the wrong type, you are carrying it out with the wrong person, you're not doing it at the right time, and you're conducting it wrongly. So this is already happening, and I trust God that as we move on with this series, a lot of you will come out of those wrong relationships in Jesus' name. As we continue, even some of you thought you are in correct relationships, but I'm very sure that as we move on, you will start breaking those relationships that you even thought were correct. Okay? Then another problem is, or another reason why we need to look into this topic, is that the issues of relationship are perplexing. They are perplexing. They are challenging. And they have huge psychological impact. True or false? True. I've heard a lot of young people say they are confused. I don't know what to do. There's just so many things being said out there. I'm not sure. You are not alone actually in thinking that these matters are perplexing. Let me show you what somebody said concerning these issues in Scripture, and you may be surprised. Give me Proverbs chapter 30. Proverbs chapter 30, verse 18 and 19. I think you can give it to me. Okay, let's read King James. Let's read King James. There be 3 things which are too wonderful for me. Yes, 4 which I know not. The way of an eagle in the air, the way of a serpent upon a rock, the way of a ship in the midst of the sea, and the way of a man with a maid. So you see somebody in Scripture lamenting that this issue of relationship between a man and a woman, they are too wonderful for him to understand. He listed the things that, were perplexing to him, and this was one of them. Let's read it in some other translations that are interesting. NIV. Give it to me in NIV. There are 3 things that are too amazing for me. 4 that I do not understand. So you see the issue. You are not alone in not understanding these things. The way of an eagle in the sky, the way of a snake on a rock, the way of a ship on the high seas, and the way of a man with a maiden. Do you have Good News Bible in your Easy Worship? Good News. Yes. There are 4 things that are too mysterious for me to understand. The issues of relationship are mysterious. We are here to unravel the mystery. an eagle flying in the sky, a snake moving on the rock, a ship finding its way over the sea, and a man and a woman falling in love. Okay, I'm going to read it to you from the Living Bible, the Bible that is alive. You know who wrote this chapter that we're reading? Proverbs chapter 30 was written by somebody called Agur, not Solomon. Okay. All right, verse 18. There are 3 things too wonderful for me to understand. No, 4. How an eagle glides through the sky, how a serpent crawls upon a rock, how a ship finds its way across the heaving ocean, the growth of love between a man and a woman. All right. Okay, so, you know, the person who wrote this, he was genuinely expressing his amazement at some issues. He said he doesn't understand how, he has not been able to figure out how birds fly. He talked about an eagle. What makes them fly? Why are they able to sustain themselves in the air? Okay? How is a snake able to slither, just crawl on a rock so effortlessly? Have you seen a snake crawling on the ground before? It's actually quite interesting to watch, though I personally don't like to watch it. But I encountered a snake once, and usually it's dead snakes I see, when people have killed it or a car has crushed it. But once I actually saw a snake that was alive. And I think the snake saw me first. I hadn't seen it, but I went to its vicinity. That was the day I realized that snakes actually are afraid of humans. When the snake saw me, it started running. So in an attempt to run, it flew over my leg, jumped into a gutter nearby, and was running. I looked at who flew over my leg, and I saw it. I was like, I started running in the other direction. The snake was running this way, and I was running that way. But before I started running, I actually observed its movement, and I was like, amazing. I ran and then, beckoned on a friend who was around. I said, I just saw a snake. And she said, did you kill it? Did you kill it? I said, kill? The snake was minding his business, and I decided to mind my own. All right. So, and then he now said, even the way ships are able to navigate, find their way on the sea. It's not only ships, so I'll even add aeroplane to that one. When they take off, I keep asking myself, how do they know this is north, this is south? I know that there's a compass and all that, but how do they figure out the direction to go in the vast air? And the same way, the ship also, you are just in a vast ocean. How do you know you should go this way and go that way to get to where you're going? And then he now classified this amazement. He classified relationship between a man and a woman in the same boat. But you know that a lot of these things have been explained now. At the time this fellow wrote these words, science was not as advanced. But now, if you meet an engineer, he can clearly describe to you how a ship navigates or how an aeroplane would fly, isn't it? If you meet a zoologist, they can explain how snakes are able to crawl that, effortlessly, or how birds fly. So, in the same vein, the more we study scriptures and understand the mind of God, we begin to understand the way of a man with a woman. And that is what we are here to do this evening, to unravel this mystery. That is what this series is going to do, to unravel the mystery so that it is no longer mysterious. Are we together? So that it's no longer mysterious. But generally, the issues are perplexing. And one of the things that make them perplexing is the fact that there are lots of wrong mindsets about relationship out there. A lot of wrong mindsets. These mindsets are not derived from God's word. There are lots of theories about how to relate and all of that. And these mindsets come from our culture, from the society, from our families, our peers, our friends. We pick up all these things along the line, but at the end of the day, we still can't, work it out properly. And we are often left unclear about the way to conduct these things. Okay? We don't know what to do. And then, like I said before, these issues are a major source of distraction. So there's a need for us to go into these matters, and that is why we are doing so. This series is actually aimed at bringing enlightenment to us. It's aimed at giving us knowledge that we open our eyes to the truth according to God, the way He has ordained these things to be. Okay? The series is aimed to help you understand God's counsel on relationship issues. It is aimed to bring liberation to us and to give us clarity on these issues. Like I've said before, we're going to look at why, who, when, how. And we also looked at how to handle yourself as a young person. How to handle yourself as a young person. That was what we looked at last week. So it's going to be an interactive session in the few minutes I have left. So I'm going to come down now and ask you to recap that portion of last week's message for me. How should we handle ourselves? So we talked about this last week. What did we say? Okay, let's see your hand if you want to tell us. And if you don't raise up your hand, I will raise it up for you. Okay, what did we say? How should we handle ourselves? That was the first thing I started looking at. And we exhausted it last week. How should we handle ourselves? Before we go on to the next thing. Yes? Who is telling us? Mr. Ephraim Osho. Minister Ephraim Osho. What did we say last week? How should we handle ourselves? Quickly. You forgot.
Except for one.
Yes, tell us the one you remember.
Said as youths we shouldn't give out our affection easily. Yes, we shouldn't. Yes, that is it.
Okay, thank you. Give Godwin the microphone. He said he forgot. On Sunday, Pastor asked you, how many of you have gone to listen to that message? You didn't raise up your hand. How many of you have gone now since then to listen to the message? Let's see your hand. If you've gone back, is there an improvement or is it the same hands? Okay. So, all right. Let's move on. We'll move on. Otherwise, if I were to follow the example of one pastor that pastor has gisted us about, I will start and discuss what I discussed last week. Then if I have the opportunity again and I come and you still don't know it, I will stay there for 1 year until you have known it. All right, a hand? Your own hand?
Yes.
Okay, go ahead, sir.
Okay, the first thing you talked about concerning handling ourselves as young people is that we should channel all of our energy and strength to serving God.
Okay. We said you should channel your strong emotions to loving God. You remember I said one of the issues, one of the challenges of the youth is that they have strong emotions. You should channel these strong emotions to loving God, to pursuing Him, to pursuing intimacy with God. Spend time with Him. And we said there's so many things spending time with God or being intimate with God will do for you. Who can remember what we said about that? Who can remember? Yes, Sister Blessing, John. It can. Okay, that's second point. We're still on the first point, on channeling your emotions to God. And I itemize certain things that this will do for you as a young person. Who can tell us? Okay. David. Give David the microphone.
You said being intimate with God gives you direction.
Okay. In a manner of speaking. Inem.
You can discover who you are when you are intimate with God.
Exactly. We said when you spend time with God, you know, I said one of the things that mark the period of youth is that youth is a time of self-discovery. Okay? So spending time with God helps you discover yourself. When you spend time with God, you discover God. And in discovering Him, you discover yourself. Who else can help us? Okay, let me just run through it so that we save time. We also said that it can help you develop a healthy self-esteem. Remember, because we talked about esteem issues, self-esteem issues plaguing youth. But when you spend time with God and you channel your emotions towards Him, it helps you develop a healthy self-esteem. We said it also helps you understand and discover your purpose and pursue it. Okay? And then, what Sister Blessing told us was the second point, how to handle yourself. The first one was to channel your emotions into loving God. The second one was to be self-controlled, which is what Sister Blessing said. And then the one that Ephraim told us was the third point, which was to guard your affections jealously. Then the fourth point, which none of you seems to remember, is to treat the opposite sex. Okay, you have suddenly remembered. And that was when we said, can we catch somebody kissing the sister? Is it normal? Should we catch you tapping your sister on the buttocks? Or the brother on the buttocks? Should we catch the sister tapping her brother on the buttocks? It's not appropriate. Okay, and then we also said that you need mentorship in matters of relationship. In fact, you need mentorship generally, not only in matters of relationship. As a young person, if you don't have a mentor here, you need to get a mentor. And there's different types of mentors. You have those that you follow from afar. Okay? You have a lot of them, you admire them, you want to be like them, or there's a grace you see in them that you want to replicate in your life. You follow their activities. If they are preachers, you listen to their messages. Even if they are not preachers, but they are in the line that you want to pursue in your life. You want to know what they are up to, how they got to where they are, and things like that. But apart from that, you need those kind of mentors, but you need a mentor that you can assess. Somebody that you can talk to. Somebody that you can sit with and the person can guide you. Somebody that you can pass your plans through. You can discuss intimate and deep details about yourself with, who you can trust, and the person can help you. Is very, very important. I reminded us last week, and I'm doing so again now, that scriptures tell us that in the multitude of counsel, there is what? Safety. There's safety. Okay, so you need to have an older and wiser person who can mentor you generally. But when it comes to issues of relationship, it is very, very important. And then the final thing I asked you to, told you need to do is to seek knowledge, to seek sound knowledge on these matters, which is what this opportunity, this series is going to do for us. Okay? All right, so today we are going to look at why relationship. Why relationship? That is where we are going today. Why relationship? Okay? Why should we even have relationships? All right, I mentioned this last week. You know that man is a relational being. Okay? That's human beings thrive by relating with others. In fact, right from the moment a child is born, from the very first moment a baby is born, one of the most important things that baby needs to do is to bond with the mother. So usually what we do is once a baby is delivered, in fact, immediately the baby is out, even before the cord is cut, we put the baby on the mother's tummy, especially if the woman delivered by herself. Okay? Usually, if you deliver through an operation, that may, that bonding is delayed by a few minutes. But If you deliver by yourself, before the cord is even cut, the baby will be placed on your tummy. And once the cord is cut and the baby is cleaned, we encourage that baby is kept with the mother. If possible, before the baby is dressed, so that the skin of the baby can come in contact with the skin of the mother. This has been found to be very important to your well-being, your psychological and emotional well-being as a human being. Depends on that bonding. Children who do not bond for so many reasons, maybe the mother died or something, struggle through life on that level. So bonding is very important for the well-being. Then you notice that the babies, even as tiny as they are, without much understanding, struggle to always have someone with them. If a baby is sleeping now and wakes up and realizes that the room is empty and there's nobody, they'll start screaming. The first thing that a baby does when they wake up is to just ascertain that there's a presence in the vicinity. He can't talk, he cannot, but at least you are there and he can relate with you, he can complain, or he just knows that you are there. So it's even when you are not even aware of yourself, you were seeking relationship. And this relationship develops throughout the life cycle, through what we call the life cycle of a human. The baby starts with the mother. There's this intense bonding between the mother. After some time, the baby now starts widening his social circle. Starts noticing that, oh, my mother is not the only person in the world. There are others. He notices his father. Then he starts noticing siblings and starts relating with them. Initially, the baby is even frightened of strangers. Usually, by the time they get to around 9 months, if they don't know you, don't live in that house with them. When you come around, they don't want to go near you, and if you pick them up, they start screaming. Okay? Who has encountered that before? Yes. So their social cycle just involves only that small, my mommy, my daddy, my siblings, the people in the house. They don't want to relate with anyone else. But then, as they get older, 1, 2 years especially, they become very sociable. They want to even have friends. They are age mates. When they go anywhere and they see a child, somebody that looks like them, they get so happy. They will come down from their mother's hands and want to go and check that person out. And they may not understand what they are saying, but they relate. If you're a parent, you observe all of this. All I'm telling you now is what I have observed in my children. I remember once, when I think that was the first child I was nursing, Choma. She was very peaceful. She doesn't cry much. So I left her in the room to go somewhere. There was no other person in the house. I went to buy something next door and just told myself I'll be back quickly. By the time I came back, she was screaming and sweating because she had woken up and there was nobody. Then I remember Daniela when she was about 1+. She was overcoming that stranger fright. And then we had a neighbor who had a baby at about the same time with me. So the daughter came around to visit. They brought her into the house. Immediately Daniela saw her. She shouted, "Hey!" I was surprised. I said, what is it? Do children, do they recognize each other and celebrate each other? She celebrated the presence of that child and sat there and invited the child to join her in watching cartoon. So your social cycles widen to involve friends as you go to school, teachers, and people like that. But even at that stage, your parents and your immediate family plays a heavy role in your life. You rely on them heavily. But then you notice that as you approach adolescence, you start to even want to associate with friends more than family members. In fact, the words of your friends becomes law. When they go to school now, they say, imagine, see what my mother told me, old school. Their mother now becomes what? Old school. Is the one that their friend tells them, that one is more important than what their friend says. And then they start seeking some independence. They want to, leave home if possible. They'll even be threatening. In fact, I'm just taking all these things because I'm living with you people. One day, I will surely leave this house. They may not say it to your face, so they will say it in their heart, And if you're a discerning parent, you can read it on their face. Then, after some time, they start getting attracted to the opposite sex. I'm just talking about the relationship, how we progress in the life cycle. You start noticing the opposite sex and start wanting to hang out with them some more. And this goes on for quite some time because you're going to go to school and find a career. Then eventually you start desiring to just have one that you will settle down with. Just whether you're a male or female, I want a husband now if you're female. I want a wife now for the men. Somebody they can now just stay in one place with. Then the cycle starts all over again. Once you're able to settle down now in a home, you now want your own children so that you can start relating with them. Then eventually you start developing professional relationships. Start relating with people in your office. You are building your career. You are establishing, something for yourself and your family. So you begin to engage in a lot of professional relationships. Then as you get older, your cycle starts winding down again, back to just your immediate family. By the time people are very old, for those of them who are old and still a bit aware of themselves when they want to die, you've heard of when people want to die like that. They call who? Their immediate, if their wife or husband is still alive, their children sit around them, talk with them and go to sleep. I hope you know that's the way Christians die. All right. Like Jacob did. You remember the story of Jacob? Or maybe some of you have never read it. When Jacob was going to die, he called his family members, his children, and said, sit down, let me tell you people what will happen to you. And he released all those words. The Bible says he just put himself together and slept off. All right. So when people retire, their social cycle shrinks a bit. But all through life, people are relating with somebody. Is that clear? You can't even stay in isolation. Man was not made to be like that. The most rewarding and fulfilling experience that you can ever have occur in meaningful relationships, beginning with the one with God. Did you get that? I said the most rewarding and fulfilling experiences that you can ever have occur in meaningful relationships, beginning with what? The one we have with God. Okay? When there's no one, you realize that when there's no one to share in your success, when there's no one to share in your joy, if you succeed at something and you're happy about it, when there's no one to share in your joy, the success feels hollow. Have you ever been there? The success feels hollow. It only makes meaning when there are people who understand what you have achieved, appreciate it along with you, and are excited with you. That's when it all makes sense. Okay, so there are several kinds of relationships. Several kinds. We have mother-children relationship, child-parent relationship, sibling relationships, relationship with extended family, friendships, relationship with your teachers, all kinds of relationship with your colleagues. But we are coning down on the relationship between a man and a woman, like we saw in Proverbs chapter 30. Okay. Now, I want you to understand that the relationship between a man and a woman was established by God for some specific reasons, which God clearly spelled out. No, the reason why we relate is not a mystery. God himself clearly spelled out the purpose of relationship, and we're going to look at these things. The reason why we want to look at why relationship is because where purpose is not known, complete that statement, abuse is inevitable. So when you don't know the purpose of something, you will abuse it. And the reason why we see all this abuse of relationship, which I have talked about, including now all those wrong relationships are an abuse of relationship. The reason why this exists at all is because people don't understand the purpose of relationship. So I want everybody here listening to me, young, whether you are married or you are not married, the very young who happen to be here, the teenagers, the young adults, and all of us, by the time we are done, to clearly understand why relationships. When you understand the purpose, why God established relationship, then you are equipped to approach it the right way. Did you get that? When you understand it, you are equipped to approach it the right way. And then you are saved from making mistakes. I told you when we were preparing for our conference that my children were asking their father, are we single? Are we going to attend singles hangouts? And they were wishing to. So their father told them, but you're so young, you don't need to, you're just teenagers, early adolescents, why do you need to be there? They told him his own words back. That, but you told us in church that you started paying attention to matters of relationship very early. Do you remember Pastor telling us that? That even when you were very young, you always, when people are talking about it, you put your ear there. So why don't you want us to come and listen? So they were allowed to come. And it's good that even at in your teenage age, early adolescence, you begin to understand some of these things. It will save you from making the mistakes that a lot of people have made. So I'm going to ask you a question now, and I want you to answer me. Let's quickly discuss the different types of relationship that exist between a man and a woman, or between males and females. Different kinds of relationships. There are different types, though. And some of them are wrong. In fact, most of them, when we go through it, you will get to see. And some of you are in those kind of wrong ones. And a lot of people, even in the church, are in wrong relationships. So let's list the different types of relationships that we see. The different kinds of relationships that either you are in, or you know that people are in, or you know that it's going on in your world. Let's have the microphone. Can we have people answering us quickly? Quickly. Different kinds of relationships. Kelechi, is your hand up? Okay, who is good? Yes, his hand is up now.
Praise the Lord.
Hallelujah.
There is one commonly known as bestie.
Bestie. Between a boy and a girl. Bestie. Okay. What is that about? Can you enlighten us?
Well, it's...
Where is your friend? She's not here today. Tell us now. I want to know which one is bestie. Francis, you want to explain bestie? You want to tell us your another one? Please, Kelechi, help us now. Explain bestie.
I don't know how to put it, but it's a relationship between opposite sex.
Yes.
Expressly. Like
what? They are best friends.
Yes, they are best friends.
The boy and the girl are best friends. What kind of friendship is that? I don't understand. I told you last week that, or maybe I didn't say it, but let me say it now. Any relationship you have with somebody of the opposite sex must be clearly defined. Clearly. Write it in your book in capital letter. Your relationship with the opposite sex must be what? Clearly defined. There should be no ambiguous relationship. Like bestie, because can you enlighten me? This bestie issue. They are best friends. As how? Okay, Sister Joy wants to explain. Okay, give her a microphone. Let her explain bestie for us. Do you have a bestie, Sister Joy? Should a certain brother in the house be worried?
All
right, good. Yes.
Okay, what I know about having a bestie, an opposite sex bestie. Okay, right now, instead of having a female friend as your best friend, you may have a fiancé.
No, use the word boyfriend.
Okay, you may have a
say.
boyfriend, somebody you have a romantic relationship with. But now you now have another guy that you tell everything about yourself, including things between you and your boyfriend. Yes, you tell
bestie. Yes, my biro. Yes, my biro. Okay, I made a list of the relationships we have, possible relationships between the opposite sex. I have 11 on my list. I didn't have bestie, so this is me writing it on my list now. Bestie. Oh, this is interesting. So you have somebody of the opposite sex that is your best friend. You tell him everything, including, and it's different from the other one that is the romantic. The devil has come with confusion. Confusion. You see why this topic is interesting? You may not have known that the bestie is not healthy, but as we go on, you will soon realize. Yes, Francis wanted to tell us another type of relationship.
Praise the Lord.
Hallelujah.
We also have a relationship called Friends with Benefit, FWB.
Friends with Benefit. Thank you very much. Friends with Benefit. That is, why are you all shouting? Even inside church, there are friends with benefits. What are you telling me? Do you know the one that they call friends with? At least I know that one. Thank God. But if there are more, you can tell me. I also jot. All right. So what I understand about friends with benefits is that there's a boy and a girl, or a man and a woman in a relationship. They have no commitment towards each other except sex. They have an understanding that they are friends. So, in fact, that bestie can even turn to friend with benefits. Okay, Phoebe is shaking her head and no, besties don't go there. Is that it? Okay, it's usually bestie that goes there. Well, so I'm echoing something somebody else is saying. Okay, so friends with benefits are somebody that you have an understanding. You people may even have been just friends before, just nothing. He's not your boyfriend and you are not his girlfriend, but you just have an understanding that you have sex with no strings attached. I'm not expecting commitment. You two don't expect commitment. So this is rampant and it happens even in the church. All right. In fact, the way it happens in the church is that somebody has turned you into friend with benefit and you are not aware. Did you get what I just said? That's the type that happens in the church. Because maybe you will not consciously carry yourselves and say, let's do this kind of thing. But you have a brother in the church or a sister who is your friend, and then before you know what's happening, you're having sex with that person. And the person does not have any commitment in mind, but it is going on. And you, in fact, one of the parties may not even realize that he or she has been turned into a friend with benefits. He may be there thinking that there is commitment behind it. Okay, but friends with benefit. Thank you, Francis. There are more. I told you I have 11 on my list. Yes, can we take more? Any other one? Yes, Salem. Did I get the name? Thank you.
Praise the Lord.
Hallelujah.
There is one that exists called open marriage.
Open marriage. Yeah. Oh, it's not on my list, but I know it. That's 13. 13. Open marriage.
What they do is two people, they get married, they say they are in love, but they are allowed to sleep around with anybody or just have somebody that they sleep around with.
Yes.
That's what I know about.
Thank you very much. I forgot that one, but I know it. There are many forms of that open marriage business. A form can be this type, she said. They are both married, but they have agreed with themselves that you can, if you see somebody else outside, you can sleep with them. It's on agreement basis. And if both of them have agreed so. There's another one they call swinging. I got to know about that when I traveled outside the country. I was shocked to my bones. I saw a Christian couple. They have a ministry. And one of the main things they do in their ministry is to propagate swinging. What they do is, in fact, the man was talking about it, how it all started for them. You know, he's born again, vibrant, loves the Lord. He works in a gym, and he uses the gym to evangelize, preach to people with his wife. So he came back from the gym one day and was trying to take his bath. Then he saw one woman enter the shower with him. He jumped and shouted, "What is this?" Then the wife came and said, No, it's fine, it's fine. And the understanding they have is, when you swing, your wife will sleep with the husband of this. There's another couple. You exchange each other. Let me put it that way. The husband will sleep with the other man's wife, and that man will now sleep with his own wife. So the wife talked to him and said, "Oh, no, this is okay." So one of them, they were having this interview with another couple they swing with. And the other man was saying, well, at least the Bible says don't covet another man's wife. But what if the man wants you to covet his wife? That's what they were saying. What if the man wants you to covet his wife? That they are not offended by it. It enhances things between them, so they are good. That if they are wrong, they will find out on Judgment Day. That's what came out of their mouth. So yes, open marriage or swinging. Yes, Jane.
Praise the Lord. There is a common one also known as singly marriage.
What?
Singly marriage.
Singly marriage?
Yes, ma'am.
What does that mean, ma'am? Enlighten us.
It's a relationship between the opposite sex where a lady usually leaves her father's house, or mostly when she's in a higher institution, to go and meet a young man in his own apartment, or the young man coming to meet the young man.
A girl home, and then we're asking him, who is the girl? He says it's his sister, but we knew that it wasn't his sister, because the girl will sleep there and they will have sexual intercourse, and we know. And in the morning, their devotion wakes us up. Are you understanding? My husband and myself, we are legally married, spiritually married, all married. Them that are living together or being singly married, according to Jane, after they finish what they shouldn't do, they will start speaking in tongues. They live together. All right, so that's another one. Yes, any other one from us? Ephraim.
We have trial marriage.
Trial marriage.
Yes,
wonderful. Explain that one. All
These
kinds of things. So.
People with the opposite sex, they live together, just trying to see if they will make good couples when they get married.
Are they engaged?
Not really. Yes, they may be engaged, so they'll just try it out to see if they can be good couples after
okay, so
the
we'll
marriage.
still put it in the class of living together. Give okay. Barrister, he raised up his hand.
There's one they call Abuja marriage.
Oh my God!
No, there's something like that.
What does it mean, sir? Please.
Accommodation is very scarce or very, very expensive, so a man takes you to his house, or a woman takes you to her house, and the rent you pay is sexual services, and that's the marriage. And actually, some people have been like that for a long time. I've had children together, been living like that for about 20 years.
They accommodate you,
yeah,
and you pay rent by sex.
You pay rent in kind.
Okay. Abuja marriage. All right. Which other one? I saw a hand there. Sister Blessing. Okay, after Sister Blessing, we'll give Pastor Austin. He raised up his hand. Is it interesting? All these things we are talking about, they are all wrong relationships. This is not ordained. They are not ordained of God. Yes, go on. Just continue.
Relationship.
Exactly. In fact, that's number one on my list. Platonic relationship. Can you enlighten us? What does it mean?
Is both of them sometimes leads to marriage. They may be loving each other, but they don't really understand the feelings. They are just friends.
Okay, thank
but
you.
No sexual.
Okay, very good. So platonic friendships, they are, simple, uncomplicated friendships. Usually there's no sexual attraction or romantic involvement. But some people believe that there's no such thing as platonic relationship between a male and a female. That eventually sexual attractions will develop. Okay? And sometimes platonic relationships do lead to move on to romantic relationships. But when it is platonic, there's nothing between two of you. I think that's the kind of friendship that Amarachi was trying to describe she has with Kelechi, last week. Said that they are friends, but there's nothing, there's no, in fact, she can knock him when she wants. All right. So platonic relationships exist, yes? Let's go on.
Okay. I'm sure this one is not on your list.
All right, go ahead, sir.
It is an animalistic relationship.
It's because of the name he knows it's not on my list. There's no way I could come up with that name.
There's no way you can come up with
Go on, sir.
Animalistic.
I can't even pronounce it, so I'm not going to attempt it. Just explain what it means to us.
It's anyamamo. Your mom sends you to the market. One young guy who has been looking out for you in Bajimba just catches you and go with you.
Oh my God. But I understand that there's a culture that marries like that.
Yes.
And that it is acceptable in that culture.
They'll just catch you and disappear
But
with you.
I also understood that catching there's an understanding.
Okay.
That's what they explained to me.
Okay.
The people from that culture explained to me one day that that's how marriages used to be contracted in their tradition in those days. That what they do is if a man sees a girl, he likes her, he's eyeing her. And if the girl likes him back, they will discuss with her mother. If the mother has accepted, one day the mother will send her to the market with the intention of her being kidnapped.
Oh.
So the man will just kidnap her and take her to his house.
Okay.
Then the father, they will start looking for the girl. Where is my daughter? Where is my daughter? Then the man will now send the message.
And they know where she is.
Yeah.
But they'll be looking for her.
They'll still be looking for her. Then the man will send the message that don't look for her, she's with me. Okay. And they are married. They will just ask for salt and pig or something and it's done. They said it was an attempt. Who is clapping? They said it was an attempt to prevent excessive spending in marriage ceremony and things like that. So it came to be accepted in that culture. But I also understood that some people just kidnap someone even without this kind of agreement. And that was the abuse of that understanding that people had in that culture. Okay. So, any other person? Yes, Sister Ezine. The most common one, nobody is mentioning it.
Contract marriage.
Contract marriage.
Yes.
Okay, what's that one?
You don't want to have a wife, but you want to have children. So you just pay a lady a huge sum of money. She just give you kids and then she goes away.
Okay, that one, is it marriage? It's not marriage.
Contract relationship.
Okay, so that's the one that is very common is what you call boyfriend, girlfriend. That's the one you call boyfriend, girlfriend. That's a romantic relationship between a man and a woman. They have romantic feelings for each other. Okay? It may involve sexual intercourse or not, but there's an understanding between the two of them that they are exclusive to each other. So that's boyfriend-girlfriend relationship. Yes? Any other one? You have also forgotten another one that is also common in our okay, barrister says marriage, the legal marriage. That's true. It's also on my list. Then there's this one we call sugar relationship, or sugar dating, or sugaring. And under that we have sugar mommy, sugar daddy, and sugar mommy. You know it now. Don't you know it? Almost all the students girls in BSU and Uniagric are in sugaring relationships. Except those who are born again. And barrister said, except dogzites. So they have an older man who, yes, usually is married. He's wealthy and he's older, much older. Barrister says he has a big tummy. And he exchanges, lavishes gifts and money on a young girl who now gives him companionship and sexual favors in return. And when it is the woman, an older rich woman who is doing that with a younger man, it is called sugar mommy. The person being, who is the sugar now? Is it the younger person? The person that brings the money is the sugar. Okay. So the person providing sexual favor is the baby. It's the baby. Whether it's a man or the woman, it's the baby. Alright, so that's another type of relationship. Then we have casual sexual relationship. Casual sex. Okay. That one, there's nothing. It's not even friends with benefit. It's not boyfriend, it's not girlfriend, it's nothing. You just meet somebody, one night stand, and casual sex. And that one too happens inside the church. After service, some people will carry somebody and they will go and have casual sex. It happens. You are all sitting down quietly. When I was single and undergraduate, I was a member of a big church. Several times after service, see some men that will come around, or boys or young boys, and they want you to follow them home. Just come on. I just look at them and I wonder. It looks as if that's what they came to church to do. All right? So casual sex. Then we have prostitution. Prostitution. You know about that. That somebody takes it up as a career to have sex with people who pay them. You can have male prostitutes, you can have female prostitutes. Then marriage. Barrister already mentioned marriage. Then we also have courtship. There's another kind of relationship called courtship. And then there's marriage. All right. So, of all these relationships, which one does God approve? Which one does God approve? Let me see your hand if you want to tell us. We'll give you a microphone and you tell us very clearly. We've listed almost how many? 13, 14. If I'm to include all those trial marriages, Abuja marriages, that one, unpronounceable one from Pastor Austin gets to about 16 actually. All right. So who can tell us? Okay, sir, just put it on your piece of paper. Well, I was specific when I said relationship between man and woman. Do you remember when I started? I wasn't mincing words. Because I said relationship between man and woman. But it's good that he brought it up because in this day and age, we have relationship between people of the same sex, with a man and man or woman and woman. And even there, all these types of different relationships exist. Do you understand? They have marriage there too. They have all that we have discussed exist. Sugaring, all they exist. But I didn't go there at all because it is, in fact, it's the kind of thing that the Bible says this kind of thing should not be once mentioned in your midst. It should not exist in our midst at all. It is completely off. Are we together? And when we are discussing relationship matters, it is not talking to you about how to relate with the same sex. It is relating with the opposite sex. In fact, I think we should tag our topic relating with the opposite sex, because in this day things are very, very murky. Things are not clear. All right. So, which of these relationships? Now I'm talking about relationship between man and wife, well, man and woman rather. Which one does God approve of? Let's see. We all know it now, so somebody should raise up. Barrister, give him the microphone quickly. Thank you, sir.
Platonic relationships.
Okay, platonic relationships.
Because when we were here last week, we dealt with
yes.
1 Timothy chapter 5, verse 2.
Yes.
That says that the men should treat older women as mothers. And we came to a resolution that all the married women here are going to be considering them mothers, beginning with Mrs. Korede, Mimi over there. We see all of them as our mothers.
Yes.
Amazing Grace there.
Yes.
They are all
when
our mothers.
When I said it last week, some of the ladies were protesting that they are young. I said, but you are a mother.
So they are our mothers.
Yes, they are mothers.
And then we are going to treat younger women as sisters.
Yes.
Yeah, so all these young girls around, the Bible expects me to relate with them as
your sisters.
My sisters.
Yes.
So the way I would not have wrong affections towards my younger sister Edugu, I cannot have that kind of affection towards Success Chukuneta. Her real name is Chiamaka. And I can't have that kind of emotion towards
with prophecy, Momodu.
Yes, peace. That one is practically a daughter to me.
Or Vera Erima.
Exactly, Erima. So, because, well, I know that this question, the expected answer is marriage, but we're not going to marry everybody. And we are going to keep seeing everybody all the time.
Please put your hands together for Barrister. All right. No, yes. I didn't have only one answer on my list, actually. And I'm glad he brought up that issue of the platonic relationship. That's the type we're discussing last week. And that's what Apostle Paul was telling Timothy that time. So you relate with them as your sisters. The females here will relate with the men as their brothers. That's very clear. So platonic relationship. Yes. Which other one? Pastor, you said something. Courtship. Thank you very much, sir. Pastor said courtship. That is also approved by God. If you look at Luke chapter 1, verse 26 to 27, or Matthew chapter 1, because of time, we won't read again, verse 18 to 19, you see courtship described. That was a courtship between Mary and Joseph, the earthly parents of Jesus. You remember? We said, if you read any of those scriptures, it says that Mary was engaged to be married to Joseph. So they were in courtship. Okay? But before they actually did the wedding and settled down together as man and wife, Mary was found to be pregnant. And that the suggestion of that is that she has had sexual relation with somebody else. So the fiancé decided to put her away. Okay? And he wanted to do it quietly so that he wouldn't embarrass her. before the Holy Spirit spoke to him and said, no, that baby that is there is my doing. Okay, so we got a clear example that courtship is something that exists and is acceptable. So there's a relationship between a man and a woman who have promised themselves to be married. And usually the families are aware. If it's not courtship, when two of you just say outside, agree, will you marry me? Yes. Then you say you're in courtship after they told us that we're in courtship and that it is acceptable. You know some brothers, when you preach like this, that they'll go around cutting several sisters. They will cut this one today. After 3 months, they will cut another sister and just be cutting up and down. They won't use boyfriend and girlfriend again. No. They will now start using courtship. So don't allow, the way marriage is a very legal matter. It involves deep things between the families and all of that. Even you involve the community in marriage. That is exactly how courtship is. Are we together? Courtship too involves so many people. In fact, before you even agree finally and say, yes, it is happening, you would have involved all kinds of people, from your pastors to your parents and all of that, before you say, yes, this is courtship. So courtship is acceptable. And finally, marriage. Marriage is the one we all understand. God himself ordained it in Genesis chapter 2, verse 23 to 25. If you read it, you see where God made the woman, brought her to the man. When the man saw her, the man said, oh, this is interesting. This is flesh of my flesh and bone of my bones. And the Bible says, for this reason will a man leave his father and his mother, and shall cleave to his wife, and they shall be one flesh. You see the word he used there is wife. Cleave to his wife. So that was a marriage that God contracted for Adam and his wife right there. So these are the relationships that are acceptable. Is it clear? Are we all understanding what we're saying? So if you have a boyfriend, you are wrong. If you have a bestie, you are what? Wrong. If you are living with somebody, you are wrong. If you're having casual sex with somebody, you are what? You are wrong. If you are sugaring, if you are a sugar baby, you are what? You are wrong. Which other one again? Did we say? So many of them, all those other ones, we said they are all wrong. The ones that God has ordained are the ones, these ones we've listed. The platonic relationship, which is between you and all the other young people around you. You treat all the females as your sisters and the males as your friends. Then when it is time for you to marry, then you enter courtship. Do you see how I'm selecting my words? When it's time for you to marry and you are now ready, you want to marry, you enter courtship with the person that you are going to get married to. And then, in the fullness of time, you now marry the person. So this is what is acceptable. Is there any ambiguity about what I've said? Is it clear? So there's nothing like, I'm going out with this person. I don't know if it's still popular, but in our days, it was very popular. Say, I'm going out. I think that is still boyfriend and girlfriend. Eh? I'm going out with this person. I'm going out. We are dating and things like that. There's a lot of controversy. Should Christians date? This one date, that one date. If you go online, you see argument upon argument. I'm just telling you now, there's no room for dating. It may sound very hard, but there's no room for dating. That is where, when you start opening the door for dating, that is where all these other things come in. Friends with benefits will now enter. Then casual sex will now enter. Then living together will now evolve from that dating. So if you are not yet, if you haven't gotten to the time when you are supposed to marry, don't have any specialized relationship. Did I say this last week? After service, you see one guy and one boy hanging back. All the time, they will hang back together and be talking. Sit down and talk. Oh. If you enter church, you see two of them. They will be alone, oh, and they are not in courtship. There's no room for that. Are we together? Okay. So, did you get what I'm saying? There's no room for specialized relationship. You know, when I say specialized, I mean you just single one of, say, all of us are brothers and sisters. Then you single one out and be pouring special attention on the person. There's no room for that one, no. Are we together? Some people are scratching their head and shaking their head. You don't agree? Whether you agree or not, I'm just telling you now. And it's very hard for some people. You also say, are you struggling? Are you struggling with the information? Okay. So I'm rounding up now. We haven't even discussed the main thing, which is why relationship. But when we have the opportunity again, we'll continue. We'll look in detail at why we relate. But it's very good we understand all these different types of relationship. Have you learned something today? All right. So please don't have special relationship with somebody of the opposite sex until it is time for you to marry. Don't hang out with any boy or any girl. Don't hang out with any man or any boy or woman until it is time for you to what? As we continue in the series, you are going to understand how to know when it is time. Are we together? But many of you don't know. So you are going to be taught now as we continue how to know when it is time. Then when you know when it is time, you are also going to be taught how to know who the person is. Because when I've said this in places and people say, if you're saying we should not even hang out with people, how are we going to know the person that we're going to marry? So that's a distortion of the idea that until you hang out, you have to hang out with this person, hang out with that person, before you now decide who you are supposed to marry. No. If you understand the counsel of God on these matters, you don't need that. In fact, when you go into that hanging out with this, hanging out with that, you confuse yourself. You confuse yourself. You hang out with sister this, hang out with sister that, hang out there at the end, you're like, is it by tinini tanana? How am I going to know which one I prefer or which one I should settle down with? So it is not like that. What you're going to be doing now, if you're not in a relationship and it is not yet time for you, is to do what we discussed last week. Comport yourself as we have discussed. Focus on God. Pursue purpose. And then in the fullness of time, as you are pursuing purpose, you get to understand when it is time. And because you are being taught now, you are going to know how to identify the person. And when you have identified the person and you have done everything that you need to do, you enter courtship, then marriage. And in the course of the teaching too, you're going to learn a lot about even how to conduct yourself in marriage. That one will be a blessing even to the married people. So this is the curriculum of what we have ahead of us. Thank you very much for your attention. I'll hand over to Pastor.
Come on, can we go ahead and celebrate God? Can you do that one more time for Jesus? If you have been so blessed. Hallelujah. All right. I want to let you know that this relationship series continues next week. Okay? So, throughout this month, we're going to be August, yes. We're going to be getting into a new month next week. Is it? So, throughout the month of August, every Wednesday will be on this matter. Okay. Don't miss it for anything. Okay? Questions. Just gather them. No, we're not answering questions today. Gather them. That will also guide in the teaching. And I think I want to give us a good news. I'm not sure it's not going to be the last Wednesday, probably the first Wednesday of September, Doctor and I, we're going to be on this stage. And then there's going to be a moderator, and you ask any question that you want to ask. So, we'll just sit down, and then probably somebody will anchor that. We may answer some of the questions you're going to be writing now, and then probably the ones that will come up spontaneously like that. If you like, you ask me what made me to marry her, I will answer you. Why? See, I'm not like Sky. Okay? If you ask me why, if not for the want of time, I can keep you here till tomorrow. Why? All right. It's amazing. It's interesting. And you know, some people will trivialize this. Do you understand? Some persons are not here. The reason they may make excuses, but the reason is because they trivialize this. Now, if I were you, can I counsel you? Single people, if I were you. You see, one of the things that will also help you to know who to marry, you will know who is interested in the things that are important. Are we together? Don't say, I'm in love, I'm in love. That one is chemical. Is chemistry chemical. And let me tell you one thing about that chemical, it has expiry date. It will soon expire. So you understand that chemical will not help you. Are you getting what I'm saying? It's reality. I don't need chemical to love my wife. I just love her. Uncle Richard, true of us. Are you always having chemical? Your body is doing it like this. Pastor Austin, you there with me? Okay. So you just discovered that you won't need chemical. That most times that chemical is deception. See, let me tell you, even you can have chemical for the devil. You are not aware. Oh, don't worry. Even some of you know you have had chemical for devils. Do you know what I'm talking about? So don't use chemical. If you use chemical, you might get burnt. Okay. In fact, let me tell you this. Beware of chemical. When your body is doing like this. In fact, that's not the time to move. When your body is doing jiggy, he said, don't go. Discipline, that's sort of what they say, self-control. Tear down your body. Lock it up. Until your brain clears. So this is very interesting. And if I were you, I'm not going to miss anyone. And I'm still concerned that many of you, after what I said on Sunday, have still not gone to listen to that message. It's still a danger signal. Do you think so? It's a concern. Because in your mind, let me tell you what is happening to young people. In your mind, you think you know something. But see, it will be safer for you to look at yourself in the mirror and say you don't know anything. Do you understand what I'm talking about? You see, okay, don't worry. I don't want to keep you waiting. But you see, there's something that doctor said, and it was one of the things I learned early that helped me. Define every relationship.